Given the recent developments and spurge in other sports and tournaments like Hockey India League, the Indian Super League, the Pro Kabaddi League picking up, it is only natural that we discuss sports in a much broader light. Akshay, it does seem like it's a conference full of firsts.
Akshat, you're absolutely right. Ladies and gentlemen, we proudly present to you our next panel, Sports, which also makes its debut in the 2018 edition. The sports panel today will discuss the topic, Revitalizing the Indian Playing Field.
Our first panelist, an opener in the classical mold, Mr. Aakash Chopra, is a former Indian cricketer who played for the national team from 2003 to 2004. He can be seen commentating in various international matches. He's also an author of the critically acclaimed book, Beyond the Blues, a first-class season like no other. A diary of Chopra's 2007-2008 domestic season, which has been ranked as the best book written by an Indian Test cricketer.
We also have with us Mr. Rajneesh Chopra, a renowned sports persona, both as a cricket player and as a talent manager. He was a part of the Delhi cricket team and appeared in the Ranji Trophy matches. Currently, he is one of the forces behind Dunamis Sportainment, an eminent sports and entertainment company which recognizes global sporting talent with brand value in India. Besides Dunamis, Mr. Chopra runs a successful law firm specializing in sports law. Sir, we welcome you. Our moderator for the panel is Dr. Ruth Kattumuri. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you. So once again, this is, as you heard, a panel about sports, and also for the first time in the forum that the students have been organizing for the past few years. Sadly, we couldn't have Mithali Rajwat join us here because it was some last-minute emergency which made, we did try to get a video recording as well, but nothing happened till last night, so she's not joined us. But then we have two very good speakers here, Aakash Chopra and Rajneesh Chopra, who are going to compensate for the absence of a third person as well. So what we're going to do is have both of you give some initial comments, and then they've already introduced the speakers. Right. So I'm not going to repeat the introduction because you know that Aakash Chopra is a former cricketer, and now he's quite does a lot of commentary, and it's quite nice to have a combination of somebody who's a promoter as well, who has also played cricket before, but he's also now into the sports promotion angle of it. And then we have somebody who's also much more closely associated with the game itself. So over to you both.
Well, thank you very much, and thanks everyone, the LSE. It's definitely a privilege and an honor to be here. And whoever I was telling that, I was going there, and everybody, and that's what happens in India, and I'm sure all of you are familiar with it. That is where I wanted to be, that is where I wanted to study. Well, I had no such aspirations, I'll be very honest. Not that I would have ever made it. But then this is very, very special. And Rajneesh actually also played cricket, yes, and he was my opening partner when I made first-class debut for Delhi. So he was the one who actually took strike at that time. Now, of course, he manages some of my work as well. And he's a wonderful guy otherwise. So he's a lawyer. Talking about just to kickstart and just to delve a little on the topic that we have for discussion, revitalizing the Indian playing field. Times have changed. When I started playing cricket about 2.5, 3 decades ago, there were only two kinds of people who played cricket or pursued any sport. One was the affluent class who could afford a failure. Failing was not a problem. There was always a backup option available to them. And the other part, the others were who never had failure as an option. They were only looking at not just playing for India. Yes, that was still a dream, a pipe dream for some. But the bigger goal was to get into a PSU or a government job, just land up with a job, and that's at least you'll be secured. Most of them were not great in studies, so that also helped their cause a little bit. But now things are changing slightly. It's the second generation of independent India. The middle class has become far more powerful, in a sense, more independent, and therefore they have they've allowed their kids to have the luxury of failing. It's okay. So you pursue sport, it's all right. Even if you don't make it, don't really fret. There are no public sector government jobs available anymore, which actually I think is a great thing, because now you know that this is what I'm going to do and I won't land up with a job. So that's not my goal. If I play, I want to play for India, I want to play in the IPL or whatever. But I just don't play the sport to be sitting behind the desk 9 to 5. Actually, that's happened with me as well when I started. So I was hired by an insurance sector company, a government company, a public sector company, on the basis of what I did on the cricket field. So their prerequisite was to actually hire a first-class cricketer, somebody who was playing for their state. So I was one. And then when I got the job, they told me that we can't allow you leaves, you can't go and play. I said, well, that's slightly unfair. I said, but that's how it is going to be. So you will not be given official leaves to play for Delhi, play for India. If you want to play, you have to go without pay. So I was without pay for about 18 months. And then I had to obviously quit and I moved on. But fortunately, things are changing. We still are a long way away. So that's my issue, actually. We still are a long way away from becoming a sporting nation that we all want to be. And it will take a long time from here onwards as well, because in a country of 1.25 billion people, there aren't enough people who actually play the sport, pursue the sport as a career. Cricket, yes, we have the numbers, and therefore you will find we also are right at the top of the tree in all the ICC rankings, one-day T20s, test. We are actually a very good unit. We have won the World Cups and whatnot. But in other sports, even though we get a medal here, a medal there, but we are still lagging behind, and that's something that needs to change. India eventually will have to become a sporting nation, which currently, unfortunately, is not the case.
Hi, good morning. It's very cold London. Nice to be here. Nice of you to have called us here. Nice to be part of this discussion. It's great to see a topic like this being addressed at LSE. It's great to be part of it. As Aakash summed up, I'm a lawyer, so I don't know. What else can I say? Something went wrong somewhere. I was happily pursuing cricket, played Ranji Trophy for Delhi. I had the privilege of opening with Aakash, playing alongside Vinder Sehwag, playing bowlers like Harbhajan Singh, Javagal Srinath, and I just gave it up. I thought that I had no future. Took up law, opened a law firm, did successfully well, fair enough. Went back into sports. I had the privilege of representing MS Dhoni for about 5 years. I looked after his contracts, I looked after his disputes. Opened my own management firm called Dunamis, which now has under its wings about 22 exclusively signed on players, the likes of Aakash, likes of David Warner, Abhinav Bindra, Junun Goswami, and we will address that when it comes to women's cricket. Sports in India is a changing phenomenon, and it will keep on changing. It's dynamic, like the country itself, and it requires change, it requires strengthening, it requires help, it requires every bit of contribution from every bit of Indian, be it in India or living outside. So that's it.
Thank you, Rajneesh. Thank you, Aakash. So you sort of touched upon some of the things which were bigger realities in India. So 20-odd years ago, when I was a professor in India, I would tell some parents saying, why do you force your children to study science? Because it's cool to study science. If they want to do sport, why don't you encourage them to do sport? But precisely for the reasons that you explained, they thought I was mad in making those suggestions over 20 years ago. But you have been innovative in starting different options, and that will unleash, as the topic says, it will revitalize the sports as a playing field, and it'll create more opportunities. So we'll discuss a little bit more about that. But before we go to that, I'm going to start with some cricket questions, if I may, because I tried to play cricket in school, but you can imagine how it was. That was a few years ago. I shall not say how many years ago. And opportunities were literally nil. We used to, as girls, we used to have bigger difficulty in trying to play. The question I have for you is hook shot. Now, it's supposedly the most dangerous and riskiest to play. What's your view on that?
Well, it is, of course, because you're in a serious danger of getting hit if you miss the ball, which the chances are quite a bit, because you're not playing with a straight bat, you're playing with a horizontal bat, you're not offering the most of the bat that you can offer at times. But so while playing that shot, it's an aggressive shot, yes. We have seen what has happened to someone like Phil Hughes. His untimely demise just shook the cricketing world, and it actually made us realize that how risky the sport is. Because we've all played the sport, we've all been hit on the head while whether playing a hook shot or defending or just leaving the ball and misjudging. But then the thought of actually dying on the cricket field never crossed our mind, but now it does. It actually seriously does. So anybody ever gets hit on the field, you know that, oh my God, let's hope that everything is okay. So you don't really think about intimidating the batsman. You don't really think of it as a moral victory and that you've scored a point. Of course, maybe at the back of your mind, you might still think the same as a bowler. But as a cricketing community, you actually are slightly shaken the moment you see a batsman, a player on the ground after being hit by a cricket ball close to your head. So hook shot is, of course, a difficult shot to play, more so for us Indians, because it's a very instinctive shot, and the pitches that we play on, we are all products of our environment. We play on pitches where the ball doesn't bounce that much. We don't really have quality quick bowlers bowling at us. So that instinct doesn't get developed over a period of time. While I said, yes, it's an instinctive shot, but that instinct has to develop. And if you do it enough times, 10, 20, 10, 15, 20 years, it becomes a second nature, and automatically the body reacts. But for us, it does not as much. And therefore, you won't find too many Indians actually playing the hook shot. Once in a while, you will see a Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma playing the pull shot. There is a slight difference between the two. Hook is towards your head, pull is towards your chest, easier to control. But you won't find too many Indians doing that. In fact, in world cricket also, it's becoming a shot that's not played that often. For some reason, people have actually stopped playing the shot. They've stopped taking on a bouncer which is above their shoulder height, because 9 out of 10 times, you know that there is a chance of one getting hit, two getting out. So you don't want to be in that space or that situation.
So
yeah.
you wouldn't recommend it?
I will never say that don't play it. Play it if you can, but
Right.
yes, master it before you
Careful.
start playing it, and also wear a helmet always.
Right. Rajneesh?
Yep. When we were playing this game, we were always told to avoid the hook, because it was supposed to be a dangerous shot. 9 out of times, a high percentage shot, you would normally get out at the fine leg or deep square leg. We were told, duck, leave the ball, let the new ball go away. That's it. Hook shot generally not been played anymore. Phil Hughes is a big example. After that also, even with his helmets, the hook shot is avoided. But I think that it's a great shot to play. If you can hit that ball out of the boundary.
I think Sachin did it.
Yes,
sometimes.
that's to me. It's an aggressive shot. It's an aggressive intent. It is much more on muscle memory. So as Aakash said, you need to practice a lot more, so that it becomes a part of your muscle memory. It's like a cover drive. That's part of your muscle memory. You just see the ball there and you just go for it. That's it.
So next question is about captaincy. What makes a good captain? Because we've seen in various cases that we have exceptional batsmen and bowlers, but when they become a captain, they have these challenges and their averages go down. So in your view, what makes a good captain, and should exceptional bowlers and batsmen choose to take on captaincy or not?
See, captaincy is, of course, it's a different kettle of fish altogether. The mistake that we make, and it's been done for centuries, I think, is to make the best player in the side as the captain of the team. Because you think he's obviously walking into the side, he's the first name on the team sheet, so why not? If he can bat so well, of course he can lead. But history will tell you the opposite, that it's not always a given. Sachin Tendulkar did not make a great captain. There are others as well who were exceptional cricketers, but couldn't really lead the side as well. But then there are some who actually flourish. They thrive. The moment you put that extra pressure of captaincy on their shoulders, they tend to walk faster, run harder, and they perform better. Someone like Virat Kohli is one of those guys who's actually transformed as a player ever since you made him the captain. Same can be said about Steve Smith. it's brought out the best in these two guys. Well, captaincy takes a different toll altogether because you cease to think only about yourself. As a cricketer, as a sports person, you're hardwired to think only about yourself to start with, because you are solely responsible for what you do. And what you do in turn will impact the team's chances of winning the game. So once you're hardwired that way for a very long time, it takes a lot of adjustment to now think about yourself, but very often don't think about yourself at all. And you put your team's interest ahead of everything else. You need to go that extra yard. You need to speak a different language, not in terms of Hindi, English or Marathi, but every cricketer responds differently. So you have to go down to the level of the guy to communicate so that to understand what makes him tick. And that requires a lot of effort and energy. Someone like a Sachin Tendulkar, who was completely engrossed with his own game to the extent of being obsessed with his own game, because that's how you achieve excellence. There was no mind space left for him to now go that extra yard to actually understand what a Munaf Patel would actually want. And the team meeting that we had with John Wright speaking there, and Sachin is there, Saurav, everybody had a say, and they couldn't really break into Munaf's mindset at all. They did not even enter his mind space because he just could not comprehend what was happening. So for that to happen, he will have to now take that extra time, go to his room, sit with him, understand where he comes from, what are his strengths, what his weaknesses are, and then try to address them and do that all the time. So even when you're preparing for a game, and that I think is a critical bit for every cricketer, whoever has succeeded reasonably well, you tend to prepare, and it is sacrosanct. These things do not change. Someone like Rahul Dravid will wake up at 7 in the morning, even for a game that starts at 11 in the afternoon, or rather later in the day. He would be there at 7 o'clock. He would need his cup of tea. He would read the newspaper. He'll have a bat in his hand. He'll do some shadow practice. Then he'll, at leisure, would take a bath. Then go through the motions and whatever he has to do to reach the ground. And then also there is a certain routine that needs to be followed, and it cannot be moved. But as a captain, you got to now shelve it. You need to be, because you need your batting practice, okay, do it before everything else starts. Okay, you also need to go and be there for the toss. You need to speak to the bowlers, you need to speak to the coach, you need to speak to your players, you need to speak to the guy who's making his debut today. There are 20,000 things that have suddenly occupied your mind space, which was completely left alone for your own cricket. So captaincy is tough, it is not easy, and therefore I feel make the captain who's the right kind of material to become the captain and not the best player in the side.
Different skill set. So
Of course it is.
Rajneesh?
I differ a bit because each individual to oneself, each team to oneself. There is an example that the great Australian team led by Ricky Ponting, Steve Waugh, were the great captains. I don't know what I've seen, what I've been told. They were not great captains, but the team was so good that the captain actually eventually had to do nothing much. That's a team then, playing. Right now, as Aakash said, and we have the 4 best players in the world captaining their own sides. Ken Williamson, Joe Root, Virat Kohli, and Steve Smith. They're all doing fabulously well. Ken Williamson just got 100, though they lost, but he just got 100, and that was a very good inning. So each one to oneself, conditions differ. Yes, it's a 24-hour job. You have to look into not only the wicket, whom are you going to play, whom to drop, your fixtures, your touring, who's suited for the best conditions, the media involvement, the media engagements, the load of the nation on your shoulders. So it's a very, very tough job. But how do you determine that this can be a good captain? To me, there's no acid test, or there's no principle or rule by which you can say that, okay, this guy can be a perfect captain. It's a test and trial method, according to me.
It's great that India has a good captain to lead the team at the moment. So good luck to India's cricket team. Moving on. So I was looking at, just for fun, Google search, India cricket captain. And I go page 1, page 2, page 3. And the first occurrence of Mithali Raj as the Indian women's captain team comes on page 7 of the Google search. And not only is it on page 7, it is 2 entries after the entry which says Indian actress Anushka Sharma marries Virat Kohli. Now, the question is, what can be done to appreciate Indian women's cricket more?
A lot needs to be done. You know, I've got two daughters. One is 5, the other is 7 months.
Thank God for daughters,
Yeah,
I
yeah,
would say.
absolutely. They're adorable. She's the one who actually picks my combinations now. She's not happy. So this is what she's picked, that, okay, this is what you should be wearing, etc., etc. But that's daughters for you. Would I actually make her into, or push her to become an Indian cricketer? The right answer would be yes. The honest answer will be no. I will not. Because I know what is happening. And okay, it may change. Of course, everything changes with time. So we expect things to get better, which they will eventually. And Rajneesh will again throw some light on how things are improving, but there are other things that are not. I also run a cricket academy in Delhi. So it's primarily a boys' academy, but then the school in which it is operating, the principal is a teacher, is a woman. So she and I, of course, wanted, okay, let's have a girls' academy as well, because there's so many girls. So I said, give me 15 girls and we'll have a session. So I'm talking about 4 schools with the strength of about 6,500 kids. So maybe about 3,500 girls. And I said, we'll do it at 500 rupees a month, which is what, 6 quid? 6 quid a month. So this was the proposal. And we still haven't found a girl to practice. Right. So there are none. So there are about 80, 90, 100 kids actually who come to practice 4 times a week, but there's not a single girl there. Why is that the case? Because it's not about what they can do, whether the infrastructure is there, whether coach is available. It's about the mindset of the parents as well. Whether are they actually willing to allow them to go and play and express themselves. Why are they so skeptical? Why do they not want them to play cricket? I'm just talking about cricket currently, and we can move on to other topics later. So India played the finals of the World Cup here at Lord's last year. That was, I think, July last year. And outstanding games. India beat Australia in the semi-finals. India lost to England in a very close encounter in the finals. And a podium finish is like number 2 is not too bad at all. The entire actually country watched. That event was one of the most watched events in Indian sports history. So obviously there was a lot of traction, a lot of media covered it. Mithali Raj now is appearing on the 7th page. Before that event might be on the 17th or the 70th. But now she is on the 7th page. But since then, India did not play a single international game for about 8 months. It's now in February that they went to South Africa and played the series, one day and T20s, and both series were won by Indian women. But why were they not playing for the last 8 months? What went wrong? The fact is, there was a time from 2000 to 2008, or maybe I'm not 100% correct with the years, but there was a period of 8 years when India did not play a single test match. Indian women did not play a single test match, and we want them to improve. We talk about how BCCI is one of the richest bodies in the cricketing world, which is a fact by a country mile. It is under the wings of BCCI, women's cricket. But still, there is a lot to be done. Things are improving, yes, but very gradually. When India won the series in South Africa, so I remember tweeting, oh, wonderful by the Indian women team, bigger and better things from here, and more cricket matches. So Mithali actually quote-tweeted that and said, yes, definitely more matches for the girls. So if we are not going to let them play enough, if we don't treat them as equals, things are not going to change as such. It still is, it's unfortunate, it still seems like a pipe dream that India will be doing exceedingly well. Indian women are going to actually change the landscape completely. Not that they don't have the potential, they do. But currently, we are far behind, say, Australia, England, or the other playing nations, where with regards to how much we play and what we do for women's cricket, we just don't do enough. Not yet.
Rajneesh?
I will give a different take on this. I started to work with Jurun Goswami about a year back. And then the finals happened over here, and she just recently took the 200 wickets in the ODI. She's the highest wicket taker, the fastest bowler she took this 200 wicket in the same number of ODIs as Kapil Dev did. I see her journey. It's been fantastic. Going back to what Aakash said, she just played 10 tests and about 160 odd ODIs. So why only 10 tests? There has to be more for them, for the game to grow, for the game to cultivate, for us to recognize women's cricket at its potential. But on the other side to it is, commercially, is someone like Mithali Raj or Julian Goswami or Harpreet Kaur wanted for engagements like these, for advertisements, for endorsements, for meet and greets? Definitely yes. The demand is growing day by day. That's where my management side comes into play. I get a query a day now for Julian Goswami. If you will just Google her and you just Google Julian Goswami biopic, so there's a full Bollywood movie being made on her. Very soon you'll have a very, very big announcement from a very big studio. So if Bollywood is looking at that seriously, I'm talking about a major studio. So I believe that women's cricket has arrived. To its potential, definitely no. A lot has to be done. Why not a women's IPL? It just makes no sense for us not to have a women's IPL. We have enough states playing domestic cricket, so we have enough women cricketers. We have enough foreign teams having women players. There's a World Cup, so there's enough pool of talent in the world available. So the next step has to be the women's IPL. This IPL, we are told that there will be some exhibition matches for the women. Let's see what the response is. Do the public come to the stadiums and watch those matches? I hope they do. And I believe that women's cricket has a bright future. And I would advise Aakash, if his daughter wants to play cricket.
You know what's happening? Just to add to what he said, no, she actually hits the ball well. She actually tells me now to
encourage her.
I don't mind.
Don't,
See, she's
don't
still playing.
discourage her.
I'm not going to discourage. She will be at least she'll pursue sports, whatever she does. In fact, when I went to school for her admissions, etc. So first question I was asking the school was, okay, if she were to pursue sport, what will you do? Will you allow her to do so? If not, that it was a cross. And in a city like Mumbai, we had only 4 choices to pick from. But then we did cross out a couple of schools that, sorry, we can't have our kid there if she's not allowed to pursue sport, if she wishes to. She may not like it for all we know. But the numbers, the problem is not a BBL, it's not like the Women's Indian Premier League, it's not just about India playing more matches. Indian girls to play more cricket generally, because that is where the problem is. And that's what I actually said in my opening address as well. Sporting nation, the basic fundamental of being a sporting nation is that the numbers should be huge to choose from. Country of 1.25 billion people. So we are talking about the kind of numbers where the entire world put together, we should have more athletes, more women playing in India. But that's not the case. I'm talking about a state, an academy in Delhi, where I couldn't find 15 girls. If I can't find 15 girls, so that is where I say that, okay, a biopic will change the mindsets a little bit. It just, for a little while, there is euphoria. That's exactly what happened when India reached the finals. There was a lot of euphoria, and we thought, wow, women's cricket have arrived, and this is now going to change. 8 months, not to be seen.
That is a very appalling record. So, but it's a mixed baggage. So Mithali Raj was born after I'd finished school. So I wish there were academies, or I wish there were opportunities when I was in school. But the good news is that now there is some opportunity. Perhaps we need more academies. We need more visibility of these academies across India. Maybe it's localized and perhaps not adequate visibility. We probably need more commercial support and different sectors coming together as well. So it's progress, some kind of progress, but not enough. So that's our decision on cricket. So let's talk about other sports. We'll not go into other sports. I mean, of course, I think we'll agree that there has to be more of other sport as well. Let's focus on Olympics, for instance. Now, 2016, India again, 1.25 billion. How many medals did we get in the Summer Olympics? 1 silver for Sindhu. She was the first woman to win a silver and the youngest Indian to get a medal in the Olympics, and 1 bronze. And who got that? That was Sakshi Malik. Where were the men? 66 men went to the Olympics, and interestingly, 54 women, which is double the women who went to 2012. They participated in 15 sports. Now, if we look at the 2012, 60 men went, only 23 women went, and 13 sports. And what did India get? We got 6 medals, 2 silver and 4 bronze. Good. But instead of going forward in 2016, we went backward. So instead of 6 medals, we got only 2 medals. And Indians are doing well. Now, if we look at Winter Olympics, for instance, in the latest Winter Olympics, we have had 0 medals ever in any Winter Olympics. The whole world comes to Himalayas. So it's not that we don't lack the opportunity and the ability to do it. So what is it? In general, women are showing promise. And what can be done to improve India's performance in Olympics?
You know, when we start gauging any country's progress with the number of medals that they are likely to win, we are putting the cart in front of the horse, not the other way around. Because that's exactly what we are doing. So this obsession with medals in the Olympics, of course, sports can be used as soft power, and a lot of money is spent. Yes, you want to excel and you want to make a statement. We have seen countries making a statement of intent and their superiority and their prowess, courtesy. They've used sports as a vehicle. But that can still happen. That can happen with India if you become an individual-centric system, which currently it is actually. We are getting slightly obsessed with this race to win more medals, and hopefully India will, and eventually we'll all feel very proud. We'll tweet and that'll get retweeted 120,000 times. But so that's actually adding to the problem and not solving it, because currently you look at shooting, and then you say, okay, there has been an Abhinav Bindra, there is a Gagan Narang, we have a couple of Hina Sindhu and some other girls who are actually doing well, so let's make them the best. Just forget about the system, forget about the 20,000 kids who should be playing, who should be pursuing shooting. Let's focus on these 4 individuals because they give us our best chances of winning the medal. Same is the case, unfortunately, in wrestling, because wrestling, again, we see there is some potential. There is Sakshi Malik, there will be others. So Fogart brother or sisters started it in the Commonwealth Games 2010, if I'm not incorrect. And then you start focusing on few individuals in that wrestling category. My humble suggestion is, okay, fine, genetically maybe we're not strong enough, we're not fast enough, we don't have the fast twitching fibers in our body, and therefore we can't become the best sprinters in the world, and therefore we will not win the medals. But should that stop us from running? Should that discourage the nation of 1.25 billion to pursue running as a sport? If we get obsessed, if the system gets obsessed with winning the medals, yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. You had a PT Usha a long time ago, and since then you will find none. So because system is now pumping in the money and the infrastructure is used, and to make sure that whatever we have, we make the best of it in terms of Olympic medals. That is one problem. So there are not enough people playing, because instead of the system-driven process, we are becoming an individual-driven process. That will never work. Secondly, when we start thinking about only the Olympics, once in 4-year event, then there'll be a government, there'll be some institution, some administration which will think, okay, this is my tenure of 5 years. Now, this is my goal. If I do this, I'll be considered as successful or I'll be a failure. Now, 4 years down the line, if it happens, great. If it doesn't, the government changes, the policy changes, everything else changes with it. And sport, once again, we will still again talk about, we should prepare a little bit in advance. So if it's 2020, we should start in 2016, identify talent. Well, that's happening, that's good. But we're not even scratching the surface. You got to go a lot deeper. Wherein you convert the country into a sporting nation. So for that, you need a lot of kids pursuing sports. infra to be used to make sure that kids are actually getting into the stadia and pursuing, because we've spent a lot of money to create this wonderful infrastructure, but that has not translated into the kind of success we deem as success. So that needs to change. Coaching, that needs to change. Because I was reading up Viren Raisquina's, our hockey guy, who is now heading the Olympic Gold Quest, a private funded body to make sure that India actually wins gold medals and medals in the Olympics. He said, when I went and saw kids practicing a month ago, I was shocked because I saw them teaching, the coaches teaching the kids what he was taught 20 years ago. He said, if that is going to happen, how are we even dreaming that things are going to improve? They're not going to improve. That's exactly what Gopi Chand also said, that infrastructure will not make players. They will not make champions. Culture and good coaches. And that can only happen if your coaches are well paid, they're well trained. Currently, you don't even have a coaching certification system in place which is updated or which is up to the mark with the rest of the world. In fact, we need foreign coaches all the time. If we don't get foreign coaches, we are nowhere. Cricket will still manage because we have progressed quite a bit. We do have the money to actually get the overseas talent to coach our local talent, and things are progressing in the right direction. But the other sports, not at all. We are light years behind where we should be currently.
Rajneesh?
Well, Abhinav Bindra says that Olympics is not every 4 years, it's every day. And that's a fact. You have to live and breathe it every day to be able to make it to that 4th year, and then you must not win. Abhinav Bindra missed the last Rio medal by 0.1. He stood 4th. There was another gentleman called Joydeep. In London Olympics, he stood 4th. And no one remembers them. So this is what, as he said, that we go after individuals. But a guy had the capability of coming 4th. What has happened to him? So I was speaking with him. He said that I've opened my own academy. I'm trying to give it back, whatever talent I have, to the new generation. He's training someone called Mehuli Ghosh. She just made it to the team of the Commonwealth Games. Normally, a shooter, if she makes it to the team of the Commonwealth Games, they are more or less promised a medal because they're that good. She's 17 years old, supposed to be the next prodigy and the next Olympic champion, Tokyo 2020 or after that. But the problem is the mindset. What is the mindset that you require to have a champion? That mindset can be, it is individually there with you, and then you need an entire team to take you on that journey. And if you read Abhinav's book, it seems that rifle or shooting is a very, very easy sport. You just stand and shoot. It's not. Just read his book once. You understand how difficult it is to concentrate, balance your body, and what role does a team play? What his team had. He had a trainer.
He had shoulder.
Oh no, he had a trainer. He had a nutritionist. He had someone to speak to him on his mental side. Because when you're shooting at that point of time, that's it. You don't get a retake, and that's Olympics once in 4 years. So that's why he says that it is every day. So every day when you're practicing in that zone only. You're practicing that hard. So this is what needs to change. We need to have better infrastructure. We need to have better coaches, and we need a lot more money in this game right now in Olympic sports.
So that was also the other thing I wanted to bring for us to discuss. The union budget of 1819 is 2,196.35 crore to Ministry of Youth Affairs and Sports. It's increased from 1,943 crores of 2017-18. Of this, 520 crore is for KEDO India to revive sports, all sports played in our country. So I agree with you on the inclusion aspect. It's not only medals. Sport, by definition, is be a sport. I mean, learn to take defeat as well as victory. And that's why UK has the reputation of having founded so many sports, but it's not leading or winning in many of these sports. So England takes the view, or Britain takes the view, that you have to learn to take defeat gracefully. So that's the culture of Britain. So not that you have to win medals or something, but the other thing is about how do you invest in these budgets. Now, I also wanted to mention the 2016 Paralympics, where there were 16 men and 3 women, and they got 4 medals, which I think is a remarkable achievement. And in fact, the budget doesn't have any special allocation for Paralympic players, and still we have such a great record. In a sense, it's something like an encouragement to the people who work hard for so many years, but I agree that it shouldn't be focused only on that. So how can we create a better ecosystem for more people to get involved and more people to engage not only in Olympics, but in a wider range of sport? Any thoughts?
Grassroot development of sports.
Coaching was an important point that you all made.
See, so my kid, again, I'll just go back to my 5-year-old. So she plays, she has a class in football. She goes once a week. She's got 2 strength and conditioning training programs as well. And there was one that she was doing, and she would refuse to go because she didn't like the coach enough. She said, no, for this coach, I will not go. That's it. So that was it. So coaches decide. The coaches are key. So teachers, for example, they're key in building what you eventually get. So getting quality coaches is something that will eventually change. The mindset of the nation needs to change is something that can't happen by allocating more union budget for sports, even getting good coaches. As a country, we need to change a little bit. We are becoming a very non-athletic kind of nation. We are, unfortunately, that we are we're very happy with our sedentary lifestyle, which is...
Well, the Paralympics were 4 gold and 1 silver, 1 bronze in athletics. So I agree about the mindset point, but the point that are we not a sporting nation? That is debatable.
It is not. I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why. See, I try as hard as I wish. So I came to London, to England, to play club cricket here once a week, weekend games, Saturdays. It's club versus club. Nobody should be actually bothered because it's of no consequence as such. But you would get about 50 people coming to the ground and watching the game. Now, take this to a first-class Ranji Trophy game where, and I'm talking about the best sport in the country, cricket, religion, and all of that. So we had this game at the Firozshah Kotla, and Delhi's team had Virender Sehwag, Gautam Gambhir, Ishant Sharma, Aakash Chopra, Shikhar Dhawan, and the rest. The opposition also had about 3 or 4 international cricketers playing in that one game. Entry was completely free, that you can come and watch the game. And we didn't have a single soul watching the game. And that's not an aberration. It's a norm. Nobody watches Indian domestic cricket. There are more people watching a club cricket here on a Sunday afternoon, evening, than in India, where the population is, of course, I don't know how many times more than what England has. And still, and following a sport which is supposedly the religion, you don't get people to come and watch. Why? The answer is that we are a star crazy nation. we if it was an IPL game, there'll be people will be killing each other. I get like the number of requests that I need to refuse. I end up refusing for an IPL ticket is just too much for me to handle. But when the same people are playing the same game, but it is not televised, it's not as glamorous, you won't get a soul to come and watch the game. And when it's free of cost. So that's where the problem is. That so individual brilliance will happen. We also had a movie on Mary Kom. Mary Kom is an inspiration, but has she inspired an entire generation to pursue boxing? Has it? I don't know. Unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. So one case here, one case there, an individual brilliance. Somebody like even Abhinav Bindra, where and Rajneesh rightly mentioned, you don't seek perfection in shooting. Perfection is a prerequisite. So that's where you start. That's your starting point. That's not where you finish. Because the difference in the end is not about perfection. Everybody's perfect. If you're competing in Olympics in shooting, you are hitting the bullseye 9 or 10 times anyway. Now it's about how you hit it, like where you hit it, or how close you are to that last bit. So that was again because he was driven and he had the means. Rajneesh's son plays tennis, and he's under 13. He does very well. He's touring the world and playing everywhere and winning trophies. He's 13. But that is because Rajneesh is completely invested. But how many Rajneeshes do we have to actually invest in a sport? That is the question. Yes, union budget will help. Eventually there'll be a bit more encouragement. Khelo India was not a bad initiative, to be fair. I've heard good things about it. A lot of school kids participated. They got to access to the facilities that they had never imagined that they would get. Olympic-sized swimming pools, great AstroTurf grounds to play hockey, good football stadia, and all of that. Yes, if you can follow it up, great. If you can then take that another step forward and then another step forward, it will eventually make a difference. So Khelo India, I think, is a great step in the right direction, but it still needs a lot more to galvanize a country as big as India.
Rajneesh?
Yeah, I agree with Aakash largely, but there are three aspects to it. To me, one is making the nation aware, your younger generation aware. So Khelo India that way is a great initiative. I also heard it was a great success. It actually was able to address issues at the root level. Right. Second is that now you have made someone aware, a young child growing up, that sports is good for you. I come back to it, is winning medals necessary? Yes, it is. That's what glorifies sport. That's how Olympics, when it was founded, champions, there's a difference. There's no, of course, everybody and anyone who's participating in Olympics is also champion. But the one who gets on the podium and this national anthem has been sung, that feeling is different. And you ask any of these people who were there on that Olympic podium, they'll say the same thing. Now this year, Zevin is a brand which is owned by Mahesh Bhupti. They have got the rights to be on the Indian Olympics team and the Commonwealth Games. So I asked Mahesh why. He said, I want to see my brand when an athlete is there on the podium and the national anthem has been sung. So when I see that brand of Zevin on his t-shirt or his jacket, the pride that it will give me, that pride is not equivalent to winning a Grand Slam.
And it gives pride to the nation as well,
absolutely.
to see
It
the national
spurs
anthem,
on
but
people.
a representative of the nation.
It does spur on people.
I agree with the sporting for sake of sporting
Yeah.
too, but I think medals also have a role to play. And this is why countries people start training from the time one Olympic is over in preparation for the next year. Those kind of things, are they happening adequately in India? And also to add on from the biopic, both of you have mentioned films. Are they really effective in making, you've already touched upon it, are they effective in making people get into sport?
No, I don't want to sound like a pessimist and giving you all the gloomy pictures of Indian sport. But so yes, there is a definite role for stars to galvanize the nation. They do, because I started playing cricket because not too far from here in 1983, a certain couple, they've actually lifted the Prudential Trophy. So once he lifted the World Cup, the entire generation actually wanted to play cricket. I was one of them. I was just 6 years old at that time. So that will, of course, will happen. That definitely needs to happen more often, and that will encourage a lot of people to come out and play. But for a country to prosper, I feel that one, of course, is the glory bit, which is outstanding. But there is more to it. There is definite more to it. For a country to become a sporting nation, everything else is all right. But then country has to start playing sports as a whole, which is, I feel, it's not happening in urban India, to say the least. Now we are actually looking at the interiors to find the next superstars of Indian sports, and that involves cricket also. That now we are not looking at the traditional centers for the next upcoming talent. We are going towards the interiors. Because that is where you find there's more hunger, there's more drive, there are less facilities as compared to what you get in Delhi or Mumbai. But then they have what it takes to actually go and conquer the world. Mahendra Singh Dhoni has made Ranchi like a global city, in a sense that at least there is global recognition recognition that there is a city called Ranchi in India because Mahendra Singh Dhoni comes from there. So those things definitely happen, but yes, the biopics may also actually encourage a few more kids to take off.
So quickly on, again, because we're short of time, on commercialization of sport, because you both are involved in some form or the other. So your comments on opportunities and challenges. And you also mentioned going to rural to find people. So I sort of want to refer to the $1 Million Arm. Now, I think 80% of that film is based on a true story. Do you anticipate something like that? So coaches are important, funding, resourcing, all that, and mindset is important. But in terms of searching and finding talent and making it inclusive and creating opportunities for young people who may not otherwise be in the forefront or have their own networks, that's the example. That's why I'm taking the example of $1 Million Arm. Do you think those kind of possibilities exist by Indians to search for talent from across the board in India?
Well, it does, because opportunities are endless. Not too long ago, I was in Odisha, Bhubaneswar. There is a university called KISS. It's a university with 27,000 kids. It's completely free of cost. That logo is, the theme is from KG to PG, completely free of cost. And this is for tribal kids. And from there, you got Duti Chand. So it's like inclusive empowerment and inclusive growth for all the kids that are there, but it's a private funded organization. It's not a government funded organization. You spoke about the commercialization, which basically obviously will head you in the direction of an IPL, an ISL, a Pro Kabaddi League. While some of it has helped, IPL is the number 3, number 4 biggest league in the world, but that is because that's cricket. You've got PKL, that's Pro Kabaddi League. It's become what it has because of a broadcaster believing in it. So that's completely the outcome of what Star Sports actually thought of Pro Kabaddi League, and that's exactly why it is reached where it has. But at the same time, you had a badminton league, which fell by the wayside. You have an ISL, and if you were in Mumbai last month, you would find the entire city has been painted by these football posters. And it has only one footballer on those posters. You've got the film stars, you've got cricketers, you've got everybody else but footballers. So there's only Sunil Chhetri there, and you've got a gamut of other people from other walks of life. So that tells you where football is. It may sound very nice. It's 3 months long tournament, and there are lots of games played. Some of them are full houses and all of that, but they're not good enough to actually be on the posters or the hoardings, so you know where that stands. So some of it will help, of course, because there is one definite aspiration. When I started playing playing cricket, I knew that the only destination has to be playing for India. Now you get the second generation of cricketers who actually think, I'm okay if I play for the IPL, that's fine. And that there's nothing wrong with it. It's all right, because your dreams can't always bring food to your table, and you can't eat them either. So it's okay to play the IPL, ISL. Pro Kabaddi League is a great example, actually, that is done well. But if more such initiatives are actually taken to the hilt and not left midway because it's not a commercial success. PKL happened, that badminton league happened a couple of times, and then it didn't happen for a couple of seasons because it wasn't making money. But if commercialization is the only aspect, only yardstick with which you're going to gauge the success of an event, then unfortunately it will fall flat sooner than later, because there are some sports. Hockey league started and disappeared because hockey, unfortunately, is not a TV sport anymore. It doesn't really keep people engaged. So it's fallen by the wayside as well. So that's where you need a bit more concerted effort for a longer period of time, with not really having short-term goal, but with a bigger picture in mind, that this is where I want to be 20 years from now, irrespective of who is there in the government, who is heading the federation, who are the people who are responsible for running the sport, because then it's a systemic change. If that happens, then everything will automatically happen as if it's on auto mode. So that auto mode needs to be channelized, rather than even Viren Raiskouina, I'm just quoting him again. So OGQ, he's slightly on the back foot right now, thinking about 2020. He realistically knows that India won't have a great chance of winning a dozen medals. That's a reality. But he also knows that if India does not, it will be almost impossible to raise funds further, because now whenever he goes to a corporate, they ask, "Acha, Rio mein kya hua? You got only 2 medals. So what exactly is this program all about?" But it cannot be a short-term program. It has to be a long-term vision. So we're talking about a vision and not a program. Program can change. Today this is working, tomorrow some other program will work. Things can change, but vision must not. And vision as a country is what we need, which will eventually take the country on the right path.
Thank you. Rajneesh.
I'd say, why not? Million dollar arm, why not? Have more, have plenty more. It's a huge country. Go for it. Definitely.
Can I take one round of questions from the audience? Let me see how many hands we have. So, the lady in the front, we'll take 3 questions. The lady there and the gentleman at the back. I'll come back to you if we have time.
More women participation, I like it.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. My name is Anuttama, and I essentially come from Delhi, so I could actually relate to all the things that you said. And I've seen you so many times at the Firozshah Kotla. I mean, never missed a match. So I actually came to this forum because I was like, oh, there's a panel on sport, because we usually have it mostly on politics and the usual stuff. So this was different. I was listening to you very intently, and there was something that came across, and I thought, why we should actually think about investing in a university on sport in India, perhaps, which actually encourages more people to kind of take it up, because at the school level we do have opportunities. I mean, I'm sure you'll relate to what I'm going to say. I was at modern school, then at Hindu college, then in JNU. I mean, JNU, I don't know about this cricket thing, but the other 2 places I was in Delhi definitely have a good sporting infrastructure. But when it comes to
Please keep
taking
your
it
question
forward,
short, because
sorry,
we got the
I
point,
apologize.
because,
no, I wanted to know, what is your take on the whole idea of having a university on sport in India, and how do you think we can take it forward?
Lots of them is needed. That's
We'll
the
take
thing.
all
Not just
3
one,
questions.
a center of excellence and multiple centers of excellence. And that is where cricket has actually progressed and leapfrogged all other sports, and has come to where it is, because we've got these zonal academies. So a lot of emphasis has been now made on getting the second generation, third generation of cricketers ready. And therefore, cricket is where it is. Of course, we have the numbers. Of course, parents are all right with the kids playing cricket and not maybe any other sport. But that's where BCCI has done exceedingly well, where all the country is so big that one university, one center is never going to be enough. So you need multiple centers, multiple universities, but then working under the same umbrella, so that irrespective of where you are, whether you're in Delhi or you're in Chittagong, you're like not Chittagong is in Bangladesh. So whether you're in Delhi or in Coimbatore, it should not make a difference. When you pick a 10-year-old kid, you find them at almost the same level if he's talented. So you'll find that there's some similarities between the two, because the same program is now being run at the same level, at the same time, in multiple locations. And that's where he or she will eventually become a sports person that we all want her to become.
So we'll take those 2 questions together and then have a final word. Yes.
Hi, thank you for all your thoughts and comments so far. My question was, do you think there could be more of a top-down initiative, more of a top-down drive from the government perhaps for inclusion of more sport at school level, or even bigger level than that? Because yes, the BCCI does a lot of stuff and private sector does a lot of stuff, but when it comes to the public sector, what could the government do to drive more sport, especially for younger kids and people who are studying at school level? What do you think the government could do?
Great. Next question.
The sort of trends that we see in modern sports is, especially in India, is that let's first establish the men's team, and then we will go on ahead and try to develop the women's sector. Now, what we see is the amount of time spent on the women's sector tends to yield greater results, considering how I think the women's cricket team has achieved as many finals of the World Cup as the Indian cricket team over the past 30, 40 years. And the Indian women's cricket team has only gained recognition over the past 10 years or so. The same thing we see in tennis, the same thing we see in badminton, the same thing we see in wrestling. So if sports in India is all about profitability, isn't Indian women doing much better in comparison to the men's sporting domain?
Great. Thank you. Last word from both of you.
Okay, so first your question. A top-down approach here, yes, that definitely can be done. Khelo India is that kind of an initiative which is inclusive, which is only talking about kids in school. And there is a lot of potential. Make no mistake, there is a lot of potential. When you go to any state, any city in the country, you will find that there are lots of these government schools with decent, I won't say decent facilities, but they have a ground. Now I've moved to Mumbai from Delhi, so I know the importance of having a ground because there are none in Mumbai. But most cities and most of these government / whatever local schools, municipality schools, they do have that infrastructure ready or readily available ground for people to use. So yes, if you put that to use, that'd be fantastic. Currently, it's not been used, which is the sad reality that none of these schools who have the ground are actually being utilized to create academies, to actually help them grow into better players or make them into better players, because that kind of funding has to be required from the government itself. It cannot happen on a private sector thing, because maybe for my academy, I can actually subsidize for, say, 20 kids out of 100. But if I were to subsidize 100, then I can't function. So that profitability, if it is not in a private sector, that will always be one of the key parameters, because if the money is not coming in, how will it go out? So government has no such, well, they do have some limitations, but they obviously have bigger pockets to dive into and do more. So I hope. Khelo India is a great initiative. I have huge hopes. I hope it's not just a 1 year, 2 year event, because if that's the case, then that 540 crore that ma'am just mentioned, that will also go down the drain. So invest for 10 years, 20 years, and invest a lot more rather than wasting even 500 rupees, I say, if you're not going to take it through. Your question?
Women are better.
Women are better. Definitely they are, aren't they? So no, they are. There has to be more, of course, and I think that's exactly what we have said in the last 1 hour. There has to be more. If there was one thing that's the key operative word in this entire session, is that yes, we need to do more. There has to be more. Yes, we should do more. And women's sport, yes, you're absolutely right. They seem to have more drive, more hunger, and they are doing better. At racket sports, I have a slightly different theory, actually. I think they will always do better in India because they're competing against men, and that makes them better. Because when our men are competing, they are not, for the longest time, were not competing with you're as good as the guy at the other end of the court. So PV Sindhu playing against a Parupalli Kashyap, she will always get better. A Parupalli Kashyap may not get better playing his own counterpart because he might be of the same level. So girls in that respect, they have this distinct advantage in racket sports that go ahead, do it. They'll always be more. So there is a PV Sindhu, there is a Saina Nehwal, you'll find more. I have no doubt in my mind. Sania Mirza, of course, is there because she was playing with Mahesh Bhupati half the time. Jhulan Goswami and Mithali Raj, not Mithali, but Jhulan Goswami, Anjum Chopra, they were practicing with us at Sonnet Cricket Club in Delhi. So they were, so Jhulan was bowling to me, Anjum was playing Ashish Nehra's bowling. So obviously you will get better. It's all about who you are up against. So when we are growing as cricketers, as a 10-year-old kid, so my coach, when he thought I was ready, he would put me in an under-16 net just to enhance my level. If I don't compete with the better people, I'm not going to get better anyway. So yes, hopefully that reality is realized. It dawns on people, and there are more women playing. All for them. I've got 2 daughters anyway, so I'm biased.
Rajneesh, any comments?
No, definitely, as you said, that women have a distinct advantage, and also in the journey to the lead up to the international, they do get less competition internally, it's a fact. And even worldwide also, and I know it because my son plays at that level, and at under 15 and 14 level. So when he's competing in a tournament, they're like wild cards, and they're, like alternates, 200, 250 entries, 300 entries on the boys' side. Where on the girls' side, I'm doing a worldwide situation in lawn tennis. The entries are 60 or 80. At times, they're not even able to make the full draw. I'm talking about big tournaments. This tournament was held in Amsterdam just a week ago. They were not able to maintain the entire draw for girls, whereas the boy was 250 entries. So there is an advantage, but this doesn't take away anything from them. They're doing phenomenally well. And as you see, and you'll see that in Commonwealth Games, in the Asian Games, and in Tokyo also. You'll see more women winning much more medals for India, definitely.
So thank you both very much for a very interesting discussion, and also for coming, leaving your family and coming and spending Holi with us. Happy Holi.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having us.
We'd like to now thank our panelists for motivating young minds today. I think an important lesson to drive home today from this panel is that the spirit of sportsmanship is not just limited to sports. Just like how you all have shown the spirit of sportsmanship to come to this conference despite the weather.